afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. So I started editing this video and I realized I didn't do an intro, so I'm going to do the intro now. We're going to be working on the 98, which you'll see here in a second. I'm kind of just tinkering with the swap, putting the engine, taking it out, put it back in, working the harness a little bit and another harness. It's a little bit of time travel right here, but here we go. So we got the 5.3 flex plate in. This is the spacer you need. It's the summit part. You need the longer bolts too. There's I actually had these from the 4L80E flex plate because that one already comes with the spacer. This one does not. It's dished. You kind of see it's got that pressed whatever deal on it. You have to oblong the bolts a little bit. I used an electric die grinder with the, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a stone. You oblong those a little bit. Yeah, make sure they fit onto the torque converter. Line it up and screw them in. Anyway, this spacer is because that this is dished. This ring on the crank won't meet up with the ring on the freaking torque converter, so this spaces it back out so this ring will grab the torque converter and center everything. This is what keeps it center, because if it was just the bolts it wouldn't be centered and it would vibrate really bad. So now the engine and transmission are mated up. This is actually pretty cool because now everything is getting integrated into the truck, because before it was just sitting here and it just kind of leaned up against the transmission. Now the flex plate is actually bolted to the torque converter. I got the four bolts on the side, so 2 here, 2 on the other side. I think there's like 5 or 3 or something more. I'll hook those up. You see I got the lower radiator hose. This is the radiator hose out of a 99 through 06 Silverado, like what these came in. I trimmed it back maybe about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. It was a little too long. It was kinking. I think this is the bigger radiator, the 34. If you get the 28, I think it fits a little bit better. Right now it's right up against the transmission cooler line. I don't think it'll be a problem. If it is, we'll find out, I guess, and put some heat wrap or something between it. So the transmission is hooked up, the lower radiator hose is hooked up. Started filling the block with coolant, and coolant started coming out of the steam vents. And the crossover tube I bought, of course, is not the right one. It's for a car, not for a truck. The car's port comes straight out. The truck one comes up. I'll show you. So this goes in between on the heads, like so. You bolt her down, whatever. But that hose is hitting my bracket that goes right here. I took it off to mess with something, but yeah, the truck one goes up. we need that one, so we can run a hose to the radiator. So the idea behind this is it gets any air bubbles out of the engine block. That way you don't overheat one of the cylinders, because air does not cool very well. So I think most of the big stuff is done, so now is the exciting stuff where we actually get to put stuff in and it's going to start looking like it belongs here. So we can peel off the tape I got covering the ports. You can stick the intake on. Oh, I'll clean it up a little bit. No big deal. So this is the factory fan shroud, the factory fan that came on the 5.3. Need to finish bolting it down, but this is the radiator from the 99 through 06. So you want the upper and lower radiator hose from the 99 through 06, and everything fits pretty well. I'm not hooking this up yet because you want to fill the block up through that hole. That way you don't get any air pockets or anything, because if you have air pockets it's really hard to get them out. So might as well just fill it up while you have everything disconnected. I can't fill it up yet because I can only get to about there because there's no sensor in that hole. It just drains out. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do two different coolant temp sensors, one for the computer, one for the gauge. I think there's a way that you can use one sensor for the engine and the computer and the gauges. I'll do a little bit of research and let you guys know later on. I don't have the gauge yet, so I'm gonna wait. Well, do the research first and then buy the gauge I need. But anyway, there's the factory fuel rails. The one bell housing bolt back there, I use the tab on the hoses or the fuel lines to hold them in place, so I hold the transmission to the engine. They disconnect a little further down. I'm going to try my way, the way I have it in my head first. If it doesn't really work out, it's not really too hard to disconnect them and try to do it another way. I want to do it as easy as possible, so for when you guys, for when you do it, you know, everything's all laid out, buy what you need and ready to go. You can see the fan doesn't quite go all the way in. It's still going to pull air through just fine, I think. It's pretty much a stock engine, just 4.8 flat top pistons and porting, but that's not going to make it run any hotter. But a lot of people doing the swap like to do the electric fans. So you get rid of the fan clutch, get rid of the fan shroud, and just do fans like I have on my 6-liter outside, or out front. Okay, this is totally random, but this is the wiring harness that was on the 6-liter when I bought it. I didn't use it because my truck already had the harness in it, and I just used all the factory stuff that's in my truck. So had this left over. This is out of a van, so the wires are different, and I thought that it was no good, that the pins were completely different. After doing some research, they are not different. The wires are different colors, but the pins are the same. But I went ahead and bought a harness a while ago anyway when I thought this wouldn't work. So this is not the harness that will be in this truck. What I'm doing is thinning this one out. I got rid of everything, even the transmission stuff. All this is basically what the engine needs to run. So you got your coolant temp, your oil pressure, your MAP sensor, NOx sensors, your mass airflow, your injectors, crank and cam position sensor. I think that's it. But what I'm doing is thinning this out, and then I'm going to kind of put it together where I like it and use it as a template for the other one, because like I told you guys before, I kind of got the other one taped together way too much, but I don't know if it's going to fit or not. I actually haven't test fit it yet, so I'm going to use this one probably in my fiance's truck that I said I want to LS swap, because that truck will either have a manual transmission or a manual valve body on an automatic of some sort, something like that, so we can manually shift it. But this is just to run an engine, so I wanted to just get what we need, zip tie and tape things that all go to the same area. That way it looks all nice and neat. Don't just have a big mess of wires going everywhere. And shorten things that they need to be shortened, and then go from there. As far as the 5.3 swap goes, I think I decided what I'm going to do with the exhaust. On some forums I saw a guy use the factory Y pipe out of a truck like mine, the 2002, or that year, 99 through 06. Jegs sells the off-road Y pipe that does not have cats, so I think I'm going to do that. And he actually even posted pictures in the reviews. Saying that it fit perfectly for his 5.3 swaps, so thank you to whoever you are. If you ever see this, you're a big help. So I'm going to use that, cut this exhaust back and try and mate it up somewhere up there. I don't want to redo the entire exhaust. The mufflers on this aren't very old. When my brother had it in high school, I put the Summit brand Flowmasters on it, and it's pretty loud, so it will be really loud with no cats. But I really didn't want to use these pipes because these pipes are like 2 inches or something, so it really choked the engine. I felt like I should add this in too. This is the stock fuel lines on the 5.7. I disconnected them right here, right there. There's the feed and return, and on the intake manifold for the 5.3, here's the feed and return. So instead of trying to, bring them up, down, and around, sideways, backwards, and forwards, we're just going to buy the adapters to adapt these to AN fittings, and just make short little fuel lines to hook them to the lines on the manifold. I think that will be the easiest way. And this is one reason why the return fuel system is a little bit easier on the OBS Chevys. And the factory throttle cable fits perfectly. And just hook it on there. Can't do it with one hand, but yeah, that works. The cruise control cable is a tad too short. It actually holds the throttle open a little bit, and I've read that you want to get the cable off of a donor truck, like the 99 through 06, or no, 99 through 02, because yeah, get one of those cables. But I think for now that is going to do it. Once I get paid next week, I'm going to order some parts for this. So we need the oil pressure sensor out of a 98, because the PCM on these don't use the oil pressure for anything. It's just for the gauge. So if you have no pressure, the engine, the computer apparently doesn't care. So we're going to get that. We need the coolant temp sensor out of an early Camaro, I believe, like a 98-ish, the 3-wire one. So you can hook your standard 2 to your PCM, and the third one, I guess, goes to the gauge, so the gauge in here will work. And then you need a fan belt. And we'll wait on the AC. Like I said, I want the AC to work, but for now we want to get the engine running and get the truck driving, and then we'll worry about adding the AC. But I need spark plugs. I need spark plug wires. I think I'll just buy better ones for my truck, my 6.0, and then put the stock ones on here. Might as well. If I'm upgrading anything, it should be that guy. And then, yeah, go from there. Hopefully we can fire this thing up in the next week or so. Thanks for stopping in. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.